Should we use the tax cuts as an example of why Trump is not necessarily good for business? I mean, the tax cuts, companies use the savings as they saw fit. There was no obligation to spend more money on equipment or on buildings or anything like that. In plenty of companies either bought back shares or they raised the salaries of their workers.
Yeah, well, the tax cut was undoubtedly good for business. I mean, he did two things in his first year. Things he promised he would do, and he delivered on the promise. He said, we're going to cut regulation on business, and we're going to cut your taxes. And he did both of them. Lower taxes are good from business's point of view. And personally, I think it's just fine that there were no requirements that they spend the money on capital expenditures or wages or anything else in particular. Having the government direct how companies invest their money, I think, would be overall a pretty bad idea.
So why do you say Trump is bad for business then?
Well, it's what he has done after his first year. As I said, the first year really was a home run for business, and you could see it in the stock market. Stocks in that first year went up tremendously. Profits went up. It's what he has done in the 2 years since then that is now making him bad for business. He has essentially wiped out all the good stuff that he did in his first year, and it comes down to just three big things. One, his trade policy. What happened at the beginning of 2018 was he launched the trade wars. Two, the immigration policy. Business likes immigrants. Business needs immigrants. They do not like his stance on immigration. And then overlaying all of it is this tremendous uncertainty about policy. He has so often contradicted himself or changed his mind on big policy matters. You know, the Export-Import Bank is useless. Well, no, it's good. China's a currency manipulator. Well, no, it's not a currency manipulator. Many of these decisions over the past couple years, business hates uncertainty. So when you put it all together, the result is CEO confidence, as measured by the Conference Board, at the most recent reading was the lowest it has been since the financial crisis 10 years ago.
Sure, but despite all of this, Geoff, we still have the longest economic expansion on history. We still have stocks at record highs, basically, and we have historically low unemployment. So in spite of all of what you said, we're still hanging in there. So isn't it too early to say, hey, you know what, the president is actually bad for business?
Well, of course, the stock market is the obvious retort to what we're saying in this piece. You know, the stock market, all the indices are at all-time highs. How can that possibly mean that it's bad for business? Well, what you need to remember is that these current record highs are only a little bit higher than the highs that were reached in January of 2018. Almost 2 years ago. And in fact, if you look at the market indices from January 26, 2018,
but that just means that we didn't reverse. We didn't reverse the gains.
But what I'm saying is he put in two great things for business in his first year, the tax cut and the regulatory rollback. It is kind of amazing that he has managed to erase everything he did since then. And so the worry among CEOs, the reason they're so pessimistic, is that they're afraid that now he is doing more harm than good and he doesn't have any more policy levers to pull.
Yeah, but Geoff, agreed, but if you had to balance out either of the two or three leading Democratic candidates, maybe with the exception of Buttigieg, with Mr. Trump, and again, I'm not speaking politically, I'm speaking economically and from a business perspective, you're still probably going to go with Mr. Trump most of the time.
Yep, and there's no doubt about that. If this turns out to be a contest between Donald Trump and Elizabeth Warren, there is no question how the vast majority of business people will vote. Obviously, if it's Bernie Sanders, the same, only more so. And I'm not even sure that Pete Buttigieg would be all that attractive to business people either. So you're right. When it comes time to vote, Trump may be the best alternative. Of course, it's also true that Michael Bloomberg could turn that all around considerably.